Starting lineup: Gwen, Wukong, Katarina, Jinx, Lux. Up against Eloy, Wukong, LeBlanc, Twitch, Brown. Rating of the picks for a casual game: Gwen as a top, 9. Wukong in the jungle, 10. Katarina as a mid, 4. Jinx as a shooter, 5. Lux as support, 6. Eloy as a top, 10. LeBlanc as a mid, 6. Twitch as a shooter, 7. Braum as a support, 8. Braum is a bit of a caricature of what the perfect support would be for casual games of League of Legends. He's an extreme in interdependent tankiness. If you want to win a bunch of games in the casuals, you're naturally gonna do better the more Brown style players there are on your team, because of the fact that slow, tanky, and methodical does not take great combo skill and great skill with the controls. Without variation, tankiness wins in casuals. However, Braum takes it to such an extreme that it requires almost too much coordination, and this added hyper specialization in the pure shielding is really unnecessary. It can only cause problems if, for example, the bottom laner decides to not play or decides to give up halfway. Brown will become totally and completely pointless. It is exactly where you want to go as a support, but he takes it to such an extreme. Pace yourself a little bit as a casual candidate. Moving on. First play, Twitch dives into the bushes. He activates stealth so that he can go all the way without being seen. He's going to drop the stink bomb behind Jinx, and part of what makes this play so impressive is his use of the bushes. The second thing that makes this play so impressive is the fact that Braum was not helping him out, which is not the way to go. It is very dangerous for Twitch to create his own plays, because he's the most fragile character in the video game. The third thing that makes this play so impressive is the fact that his damage over time is based on his ability power, and he was built as a pure attack damage dealer, which showcases why Twitch is probably the biggest pure weapon in the entire video game. Second play, and this is something that you see so frequently with LeBlanc, is that fundamentally that passive that she has that is supposed to save her makes her very unfit for casuals. Because the reality is it requires a lot of coordination. Let's go over what this passive really is about. When you are getting low on health, you will gain a body double who will now move in a direction that, in order to be believable, you had better control. You had better made sure that you know where she's going. The vast majority of people are not going to see LeBlanc as some kind of warlock with minions, but now suddenly you're left using the minions controls, and this is all while you're super low on health. And so many people, especially in the casuals, are gonna have no idea what their minions button even is or does, let alone think of it when they're about to get killed. This is why I always say LeBlanc is a 6 in the mid. Necessitate you to micromanage when under maximum duress. Third play, we're gonna have Lux standing around here for some reason. it is at this point 3-on-1, really speaks to why she's absolutely not a support. One of the strangest things is the consistent intellectual dishonesty. No reason for it whatsoever. We can see here that Jinx is wildly afraid of Twitch, and you can clearly tell that the poison effect is getting in her head, and it's a mind game. These little Aztec stone blocks or monuments at the edge of the map where people like to hide behind, I've never seen them do anything for the person trying to use it. This is a horrible hiding spot. It will not save you at any point. Fourth play, everywhere where Eloy goes, he creates his own little base. What you see basically is people who fundamentally do not understand how to handle Eloy. Wukong's abilities are used haphazardly here. None of the abilities do anything. This is random button mashing, and the crowd control isn't used to crowd control. The escapes aren't used to escape. The way League of Legends works is when you die, your enemy will receive money. It is not acceptable when you're incredibly close to your own fountain and you have no health whatsoever left, like this Gwen player. You go back to the fountain. It is completely irresponsible at this point to push forward. You're really hustling backwards doing this. What is the proper way to handle this? Wukong stands under his own turret. A second player that is not Gwen comes in and starts attacking the tentacles and retreating, attacking the tentacles and retreating. Once a couple of the tentacles are down, all the while Wukong kept the tower up, you can close in, and now Eloy is going to take a beating. What you don't do is you don't leave all the tentacles up and then just jump in. And so we end up with the final verdict on this 5-on-5. You would have to say Eloy was useful because he absorbed damage. I, as Wukong on Team Red, was useful because I absorbed some damage. LeBlanc was standing around and using her abilities to snipe kills and not really doing anything but just walking back and forth and back and forth. Brown was absorbing massive damage, and Twitch was dealing massive damage. On the other end, we have Lux, who was able to do useful things with her magical lob, and dangerously hit hard with magic explosions in her ultimate. We have Jinx get very close, hover around with her attack speed to kill mostly weakened targets with her very low life pool, very low resistances, absolutely useless in this kind of exchange. We have Katarina, who is purely built to essentially assassinate characters that are about to die anyway, and then snowball. Gwen, who is built like Katarina as a weapon and as a pure assassin, kind of all out ability power, but who doesn't have the capacity to close the distance in any way. The Wukong assassination kit is not going to help you in a 5-on-5 like this. The gap closers that Wukong can offer from Team Blue here are only going to be useful when you have massive health and can tank purely to initiate. Simply put, the right way to play Wukong in a 5-on-5 is to dive in with the third spell and then use the ultimate. I didn't have my ultimate up because it was on cooldown. If you substitute this item for Hollow Radiance, you may be able to do even more damage. If you take magical footwear here for free, you may have enough coin left or enough gold left to get another item like Death's Dance. This is very impressive here. You went 19, 3, and 2, and your items were Collector, Infinity Edge, Renon's, Noon Quiver, all of which are absolutely excellent for Twitch. Notice also that the very accurate player did not waste his money on boots and mysteriously survived, almost as though it's all just a mind bleep. These items by itself synchronize well together. Black Cleaver is an item that is incredibly cheap for what it is. Really get more than what you pay for. Trinity, however, lost some of its flair compared to some of the other rapid options. Yeah, and so we experience an interesting dynamic here. You see me going with health, armor, and magic resistance, and with health, and you see Brown going with armor and health and armor and magic resistance, and then you see a mixed individual who's trying to stay alive as well in Aloy, and then you see somebody who's built as a shooter, and then you see somebody who's built as a shooter. So we now have hybrid, tank, tank, shooter, shooter, almost like an organized army. Right? Now, what do we have on the side that went 8 kills and 44 deaths? We have shooter, pure ability power, raw, pure ability power. We have attack speed with armor reduction, goes ability power and ability power as a shooter. And here you have another individual that goes pure shooter, attack speed and attack damage. And here you have another individual that goes pure shooter. So do we see a pattern here? This is interesting. We have essentially roles and an organized group: tank, hybrid, shooter, shooter, tank against shooter, 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 shooter. Moving on.
Every mistake is a lesson.
soon fall.